Hello guys, this is JP Sarri once again coming to you, and at this time, you know what, now we're ending this week and starting a new week, it's a good time actually to rewind and to talk about all the things that happened during the last week, things that were extremely important for all of us. Alright, the first thing I want to talk about is the NeoGeo Mini. As you know, there is a big influx of mini consoles in the last, since last year, since the NES, since Nintendo decided to create the NES Mini, which actually was reprinted again, or was reproduced a second batch, and they've been selling like hotcakes. Actually, this last month was the most sold out, or the best-selling console of the month, and definitely it deserves it. I love mine. Actually, I was able to get mine. I got me one of the new edition one, the new run, because I was unable to get me the original one, the first one that came out. It was so hard to get it. I was so upset, but thankfully it is here, so I'm very glad. I already kind of modded, so I have like tons of games and things like that. It's definitely very fun. It's more about the fun factor. But talking about that, the other companies that have been producing, as you know, Sega's been trying to, it's gonna make one probably by the holidays. They're gonna have a one. But there's one that really kind of caught my eye, and that's the NeoGeo Mini. The NeoGeo Mini, as you know, I love NeoGeo. I love NeoGeo. I grew up playing a lot of NeoGeo games in the arcades. One of my favorite companies of all times, right next to Capcom. When it was initially presented, I was not really crazy about it because of the look and the design. But the more I look into it, after it came out, it's really an extremely cool idea. They're celebrating 40 years. SNK is celebrating 40 years, of course, in Japan, and it comes with 40 games. The Japanese released version already came out. It's been a great success in Japan. There's some things that I'm not so happy in comparison to others. You cannot really use other different controllers. You have to use only the little joystick. You can only control. If you want to add another controllers, you can do that. That's a good thing, but it had to be the proprietary controllers that come with it. So, and they are sold out in Japan. So that's a bad thing. People have tried to mod it. At this point, nobody has really done it yet. So we don't know if it's going to be able to add more games like people have done with the NES Classic or the SNES Classic. And it doesn't take other controllers, other USB controllers, which is a pain if you want to really play with an arcade stick. But in any case, this is a really cool idea. They have planned to release one internationally, a new version, which is a little bit different. I really like the Japanese more. It's more colorful than the international version, but there's no date yet. So we're assuming that it will come out probably around near to the holidays. Now, in talking about video games, one of the video games that I really we have news this week is that Spider-Man for the PS4 that actually went gold, which means that actually it's completely finished. They finished all the coding and everything they need to do, so the game is ready to be sold. It's supposed to go out in September 7. I really love it. I'm a fan of Spider-Man, and I can show you here. This is the original Spider-Mans from the Xbox, where they came out on the PlayStation 2, also on GameCube. I have the Spider-Man 2, which is a game that I play so much, and I have the Ultimate Spider-Man. These are great games, and I've been playing many Spider-Man games after that for the other consoles, the PS3, the Xbox 360. And this is going to be actually, and the PS4 too, but now this is going to be Spider-Man. It's definitely good. I've seen some footage of it. A lot of people say it's very similar, and the play game on the mechanics are very similar to all the previous Spider-Man games, the good Spider-Man games, which is good. At the same time, a lot of people say that there's a lot of the same things that we have seen before, a lot of repetition. You have to do all kind of stuff, car chases, all that stuff that we have seen before. You can pretty much cross the entire Manhattan Island, New York. You can just cross it, and you can do all kind of things, which is kind of cool. It's just cool, but it's nothing I would say new. The only difference, of course, is just the graphic upgrades and a 4K television. It definitely all the graphics is the biggest part of it, but what I've seen is just the mechanics are same as everyone, but definitely it's an exciting. If you're into Spider-Man and Spider-Man games, I highly recommend it. September 7th. And continue with the Spider-Man team. This week we saw the Venom trailer, the new trailer. A lot of people are excited about this movie, but I'm not one of them for some reason. I just haven't felt that it's definitely something that really attracts me as much. Maybe because I'm an older Spider-Man fan and a Venom fan, and I grew up very much with the origins of Venom. I went through McFarlane era. So I'm not so sure if I'm really gonna like it. You know, I know that they're trying to do something different. Columbia Pictures is pretty much producing this movie in association with Marvel Studios. And at the same time, you know, they're distributed by Sony. So Sony's trying to do something different. What I'm not a fan is just this totally different from Spider-Man. It's a different origin story. I don't know how it's gonna play out. What I've seen, it's just the plot seems very there has a lot of flaws. It's very, I don't know, cheesy. And I've seen a big difference. A lot of young people are loving what they have seen so far. In my case, I'm not. So I'm not so sure if I really want to watch it in theaters. Maybe until it comes. Maybe it's another trailer that changes my mind. But I'm definitely not feeling it. And Tom Hardy, and it's not a bad actor, but I just don't know. I don't even like the accent he has on the film. So we'll see. It's coming out in October, so hopefully by then, you know, I change my mind. But so far, it's not really looking so good to me. Now, in news for all the action figure collectors and everybody that loves action figures, as you know, after the closure of Toys R Us, there's a big hole in the market. You know, a lot of people used to love Toys R Us. I used to go to Toys R Us once in a while. I didn't purchase as much from them because the prices were a little weird, and sometimes you didn't find what you're looking for. So I'm more like an online shopper. But one thing is that it really hurt when you see a company like Toys R Us closing. But companies are finding ways to still sell their product, not only online but in retail places. So one of them is Neca. Neca had a deal with Target, and this weekend they started selling nationwide. No, I don't know if they're doing it in Canada, but I know in the U.S. They have use an aisle just for the products, or a section for the products in all Target stores, which is great. I feel that it's good that there's an opportunity. I normally go to Target. I'm not a super I'm one of those that goes all the time to Target because it's not really next to me, near to me. It's not on my way to work or anything like that. But I do go to Target and I purchase stuff from Target. And definitely it's good that they have that section. And they already were kind of going in that direction. You see a lot of things that they were selling, a lot of collectible stuff for geeky stuff. But now, of course, with Neca products, we'll see how it comes. Hopefully, it really pays off for them. And hopefully, not only that, brings other companies into also going into that route, allowing to have those products in those places, which is extremely important. So if you're interested, just check your local Target and see what you got. Now, going into more expensive collectibles, we recently have Wonderfest in Japan. Wonderfest is a big convention, a big place where all the toy companies in Japan come and bring their toys, and it's kind of like San Diego Comic-Con or Toy Fair in the U.S. Definitely, it was phenomenal. And one of the things that caught my eye personally, and I think you see probably a lot of videos on YouTube and a lot of stuff on Facebook, is Prime1. Prime1 brought a lot of good stuff there. As Sideshow does it in San Diego Comic-Con, Prime1 does it in Japan. They have all the lineup. They have more products that they were showing in San Diego Comic-Con through Sideshow. Fantastic. I did love a lot of stuff that I saw, particularly Deathstroke. There's an action statue, an action pose, which looks phenomenal. And that's not the only thing. They have for all kind of things and other companies. But definitely, if you're interested, look into the videos. There's a lot of stuff on Facebook also in the groups, Prime1 groups. So it really hits a good niche of the market, for people that really can't afford that big, those big statues, 1/3 scale, which is definitely huge. But definitely, Prime1 does it better than anyone else. And now going into a little more details of events that happened this week. Just recently, just this Friday, if you follow Erick Sosa, which, as you know, I'm a fan of and a friend too. He's a friend of mine. He posted on his Facebook page that he was leaving Kotobukiya. Now, do I know exactly what's going on? I don't know, and I cannot really tell. I do know that he was not satisfied with some of the situations going on there for the last few years. You see that there's been a decline in his work with them. He's been more into other companies. He's been working there for 10 years, and definitely he built the Daddy Root sessions or the Marvel lines, and he was one of the only in their artistic group, wasn't the only Westerner working for them. So he thanked him for everything. So it was kind of bittersweet, but at the same time, I support Erick, and I know that Erick is trying to find ways to actually consolidate his life, his family, his finances, and what he does, his business, his vision, which is, he has a great vision. He is extremely talented. He also is going to be doing something for Diamond Select, which I'm very glad, because Diamond Select is growing, is doing a lot of great things. And I think that the opportunities are there for Erick, and I wish him the best. But by the end of the day, by the end of the night on Friday, he posted, I think, because all the backlash probably on Facebook and other groups, Kotobukiya came back and says, we want to talk to you, we want to sit down with you, we want to talk about what we need to do for the future. Because of course, Erick brings people. He's very talented, and he brings a lot of customers. So hopefully that works out for the best. I'm not so sure. Whatever Erick decides. My point is, I support whatever Erick does. If he wants to stay with Kotobukiya, I'll support him as long as he is treated, right. As long as they treat him as he deserves, and he gets paid fairly, and he gets more artistic opportunities. If he decides to go more the freelancing part that he's been doing for quite a while, then I'll support him as well. And hopefully, things work out for them and for all of us, because definitely it leaves a big gap for a lot of Marvel stuff that that we've been getting from Kotobukiya, that we've been getting little by little, but still, something that we as collectors, we would like to see more of that in the 1/6 scale particularly. And finally, I want to dedicate this time to say goodbye to good friends. Particularly the last week and the previous week, we got the news, the sad news of the departure, the passing of two great friends in the statue collecting community. Starting from my friends Pepe, very well known as HeroStatueCollector Lou, here on YouTube. He was definitely a good friend. I can say that, and also Captain Joe, which is Joe Steiger. So it's definitely sad to see people passing. It always is. But at the same time, it's more about the legacy they have left behind. And I can say one thing about those two guys. They were great people. I knew Lou more than I knew Joe. We were friends on Facebook. We were friends here on YouTube. He was definitely an inspiration. When I started making videos, he already had a small channel too, like I was. He was starting almost a little, I think he started a little before I did. So he got a small channel. But one thing about Lou, I remember that he was always supportive. When I started doing videos, he was always leaving comments, particularly when I started doing comic book stuff. He was the first person to always post, good job, buddy, things like that, which was to me like an incentive to continue on. He always invited me to immortalize Stone. Him and Vic, they had a great friendship, with also Vic passed away some time ago. They were good friends. I love them both. They were fantastic people. And the great thing about it is that I do not remember any moment with Lou said something mean or trying to put someone down, and that's something that it's very it's refreshing, especially in this hobby, where you can go to Facebook groups, so you can get very heated and people can say all kind of stuff, mean stuff, and try to throw stuff at each other. He was not that type of person, and they created Immortalized in Stone. The chat, he invited me so many times to the chat, and I never did participate, which I kind of regret, but I didn't have the time to do it because of my work. But definitely, I'm gonna remember Lou. Definitely a great guy. Now, Captain Joe, I didn't know personally, but I knew him because in interactions on the channels, I know that he watched my videos. He left comments before, and he we talk about it a little bit over in the different forums. But we were not as close. But he was very supportive. But one thing I can remember about Joe is his personality. He is, how nice he was with people. I seen people, I see a few times when people got a little mean with him, but he never responded at the same level. He never got to people's level, but he was always nice, and he was such a fan of Batman, and such a fan of the Big Bang Theory, and it's just kind of sad to see that he's gone, but he lost the battle with the illness that he was dealing with. Now I know that there's going to be starting tomorrow, there's an auction that actually Twitter hit, because it became such a big news, and a lot of people kind of felt so bad for the guy, because a lot of people love Joe, and there's an auction by Twitter hit, so stay tuned. I'm gonna have the links below. I think there's some groups that they are running this auction, or they're going to help with this auction, so to try to help the family with the, all the expenses and the costs, burial costs and all of that. So just support it. I'll give you the link, so you just go there and check on the Facebook groups, and you will see all of that. And the same thing, I think there is a FundMe account or something for Lou and his family. So just support them. I have the links for you. So that brings me to the final point of this, and I think it brings it home for everything that these guys did. What is the legacy you're leaving behind? Are you going to be remembered, or you're going to be forgotten? I know that people are going to love them, and I know that when time passes by, people tend to forget things. But some people leave an indelible print in everything they do, and I think these guys did. I think they're going to be remembered for that, for their charisma, for their happiness, their joy, and the peaceful attitude they have towards things. And that's the thing, are you leaving something behind? Are you going to be remembered because you were a good person, because you did the right thing, because you love your family and you love your friends and you were a respecter of people? You're going to just be remembered because you were an a-hole. And I'm going to use that expression that way. And I like not to use foul language, but are you going to be remembered for those things? So I am definitely very happy to have met them, and that they meant something, for our lives. And hopefully the legacy lives on for people to try to be nice, particularly in social media, to each other. Just be nice to each other. Let's just be nice to each other. And I say it for myself too, because sometimes I haven't been so nice to people. Try to remember that everyone is a human being, and everyone is dealing with something in a particular way. And sometimes this just becomes like escape, a place where we can, an oasis where we can, talk about the things besides the problems that we have to deal on a daily basis. So, but thank you for watching this video, and just think those things through. And again, you support this channel. Look at the links below, where I have all the different links for the different things that we talk about, and I also support the affiliate links. Just press it down, and whatever you purchase through those links, of course, it helps out a little bit this channel. So take care, my friends. God bless you, and I'll talk to you again next week.